welcome back to Sips of Faith. Hello, this is episode 5. I cannot believe it. It's been so sweet to share stories with you guys, but also just get to be with my friends. I'm here today with my beautiful, gorgeous, amazing friend, Carla. This is her.
Hi.
I'm so excited for you guys to just be encouraged by her story and just get to know her and experience the ways I love her. It's just going to be so sweet. So before we start, we are at First Light Bookshop. It's a adorable coffee shop in Hyde Park. And we actually grabbed coffee from next door Tiny Grocer because they are serving this Nula coffee. So today we're having that. I got the pistachio latte and then
I got the matcha latte with lavender syrup.
lavender
So
matcha. Great. And yes, this series is to share the goodness of God through testimony and encourage each other and the viewers to just love a little bit more of what the Lord's doing for his children. And we get to do that through coffee shop chats, through cuteness and girl talk, and it's really super exciting. Before we get started, I want to ground us in our grounding verse, which is Romans 1:12. I usually have it pulled up. Let's see. Romans 1:12. It says that that is that we may be encouraged by mutually encouraged by each other's faith, both yours and mine. Just a reminder that this is for encouragement. We all have unique stories, and it's a gift, and it's perfectly curated to give glory to the Lord. So I just pray that we share that, and that you guys also share your stories in the comments. But let's take a sip of our coffee. Okay. Let's cheers. I want you to tell me how the Lord has stirred your life up for the sweetest of outcomes.
Aww.
Let's do it.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited to hear.
Well, I'm excited to share.
It's like dripping everywhere.
I know, it's sweating.
Me too. I am also sweating.
Also, I just love this area. Hyde Park is one of my favorite neighborhoods here. It's so cozy. So I'm glad we're here also.
It's so sweet. It's like giving like the Brooklyn of like New York, like Austin downtown's New York, and then Manhattan, and then Brooklyn's over here.
You can walk around. It's really nice.
It's so sweet.
So I love
it. And you guys live in this neighborhood, so it like blesses me to be able to come over here often. I love it.
Well,
Yay.
A little bit, my testimony, oh my goodness. Okay, so where it started, so I didn't grow up Christian. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. As you know, I grew up, well, we sort of were Catholic, but we weren't like devoted Catholics. We mainly went to church every so often, and again, we didn't have like a Bible at home that we read, like that wasn't part of just the way we were brought up. And so I would say I knew of God and I knew of Jesus. I knew of the Holy Spirit, but my mind, I think, separated them all as like different things too. Like they all have their own separate roles because I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I think with that, I just kind of didn't really have a real faith. But I thought, because everybody told me that, there's a God, there's a Jesus, I was like, okay, so there's a God and the Jesus, but I didn't know about, like, I didn't follow Jesus. I didn't obey Jesus. I didn't have a heart for Jesus. I just kind of living my own life. And every so often I'd pray to God at night, but I was just like your very typical copy-paste prayers of like, take care of my family, take care of our health, take care of da-da-da-da, and then I would like fall asleep. And so it wasn't really anything like deep like that. And then, so I was kind of going like through life like that, and then I moved, I actually lived in Mexico, and then I moved over here to the U.S. with my family. I was like 5 years old. I didn't know any English.
What part of Mexico are you from?
Mexico City.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I came here.
Wait, how did I not know that?
You didn't know that?
I feel like I never asked you
that.
No,
yeah. I grew up, I was born and I lived there in Mexico for like 5 years. And then I came over to Texas.
Okay, when you were 5.
Long story short, pretty much, yeah. Long story short, I came here when I was 5 years old. And I remember I was put into school and I didn't know anything of English. And so,
Hi, Shayla.
I know. And so it was rough. But the funny thing is, through that, I met my good friend Carla because she was also in that grade, kindergarten, that same class with me. And she was one of the 2 other kids that knew Spanish and English.
The Carla from episode 4, guys.
Yes, and so she was my translator. So that's how we became friends. And she was raised in a Christian household, like her dad's a pastor. And so we were in the same friend group for so long. And She never really mentioned her faith when we were younger. We kind of were just friends in the same friend group that at all of elementary. And then coming into middle school, we decided we were the only two of our friends group that were going to the same middle school. So then we were like, okay, so we're friends now. It's you and me. Like, we got this.
Stick together.
Yeah, stick together. We're about to head into like unknown territory, and it's really scary and intimidating and whatnot. And so through that, I remember us hanging out more, and she would specifically tell me a lot of stories of the Bible, and very casually. It wasn't like anything like preachy.
And y'all were so young.
Yeah,
like,
we were
that's
so young.
sweet.
Like, she was already like ministering at such a young age. But it would be like we would be in girls' athletics in the morning, ready to like do some drills, and she would be like, "Have you heard the story of Noah?" And I'd be like, "No." And then so she would like tell me, and she's such a good storyteller. If you know her, she's such a good storyteller. So she would tell me the story, and I would always be like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" Like, I would just be very like, I don't know, I just felt like that's such a cool story. Like, again, I just thought of it as stories. I didn't think of it as like, this is history. Like, you know, like this has actually happened.
These are like promises that are coming true.
And that makes sense because I didn't know Jesus like that. I didn't know, I knew who he was again, but all these things just felt like fairy tale stories. Essentially, that's how it felt.
Like storybooks.
Yeah, like a storybook. And so, but I was very much like curious about it. I never like shut her down. I never told like, I don't want to hear about it. I was always just like, yeah, tell me. And through that, she invited me more to her church and things like that. And so then I would start to go, and I started to know about more who Jesus is and like what he did for us. And it was, I remember thinking a lot of times that one of the main reasons I think I really wanted to go to church with her and hear all these stories, because I could tell that Carla lived in a very different way than the rest of us. And certainly different from me. And I remember just being very drawn to that. I was very like, what gives her so much peace? What gives her so much joy? She's such a joyful person, and she was very, very joyful when we were younger too, and very bubbly. And so oh my gosh, I hope I don't start crying. I hope not. That'd be crazy. Anyways,
it's okay.
So
you're safe here.
So yeah, I remember being really drawn to that, and like when I would spend time with her family too, they were very warm and welcoming, and I was very curious about like, I wonder what gives them that sense of, again, joy. It just felt very different. They seemed very grounded.
They were set apart.
Yeah, it was,
and like that's exactly how we were called to live.
Exactly. Set apart.
Set apart.
I could tell.
People are curious. Make disciples. Like that's our sole purpose on this earth.
Exactly.
Oh, so good.
Exactly. And so she was already living like that at such a young age, and I think that's why I was very much wanting to see and be close to her and be around her and hear more what she had to say, because I wanted to know, like, and I thought this is too good to be true. That I remember thinking this has to be too good to be true. So that's kind of what got me to wanting to go to like church with her and like listen to her stories and all these things. And I think that's a big part of my first testimony, is that the reason that I was even drawn to it was because I saw other people around me live that kind of life, and therefore I was like, well, I want that life too. I don't know how that was supposed to look like, but I knew that that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So then I was drawn to it. At least I was very curious about it.
And this was by your, like, just you, not your parents or anything?
No,
like, this was solely on your terms.
My parents, like, again, they said there's a God, but we didn't go to church or anything. We didn't read the Bible, so it was kind of just like, well, I don't know what that means. You know, God can mean many things. For people think they actually know God and they believe God, and it's just like, no, you don't, because you don't actually spend time with Him. And so I was like, how was I supposed to know who He really is? And so through that, I think that was part of my first testimony, honestly, that I think about it, is that I first started because I was just wanting to see what that was like, because I saw other people around me have it. And I obviously had a very different life from that. And my life, I would say, felt the opposite of joyful. It felt the opposite of peaceful. And so when I was hanging around with her a lot and going to church and going to like young adults ministry, things like that, I don't know, things started stirring inside. I think I still carried a lot of anxiety just from childhood and things like that. Moving to a new country, not knowing the language, like, you know, my parents working so much to provide for us. Like, there's just so many things I think just caused a lot of anxiety in me as a young kid. And so, again, didn't have any real peace. I don't feel like I was really joyful. I was a very quiet, introverted person. And so going to church with her, I think I started to be very much like changed in little ways, not big ways, very little ways. And I think that's the beauty because I think I just saw Carla running after Jesus, and that made me want to run behind her and just be like, where is this leading me to? And so but I was also very cautious because I was a very cautious person. I have like thick walls. I had very thick walls that I felt like the Lord really had to like break through me. And I feel like sending Carla was the first step on doing that. And then I went to summer camp with her. I remember back, I think it was my junior year. Yeah, I went to summer camp. I've never gone to like a church summer camp, and so that was new for me. And it was such a crazy experience. You really,
As they are.
yeah, as they are. You really just get like full on swinging, pouring of faith into you, and it's just really cool and exciting to be around that. And I think the biggest thing at that time was I I just felt very like stuck. I was like, I don't know where to go from here.
Like,
Lord.
what's next?
Yeah, what's next? Like, I'm coming to church. I'm spending time with more believers. I wasn't really reading my word as much still, but I was going to church and I was hearing all these sermons and things like that. And I remember when we went to summer camp specifically, I think they were talking about how Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah. And so that was like the big theme of that week. And so what that looked like also and what that meant for us. And I remember there was one of the sessions, and it was like at the end of the session they were kind of saying like, if you want to like give your life to Christ, you can come up here and do so. And I didn't go right away, but I was like really just like in the moment praying and thinking like, what is like holding me back that I haven't fully let go? Because I feel like there's a reason why I'm being hesitant. And one of my biggest things in my upbringing was that I had a pretty broken family, and so like I had a lot of feelings that weren't good feelings regarding my dad and just my family. I love my dad, by the way. I love my dad, and I'm still very close with my dad. But just at the time, I think I put a lot of weight on him and he's only human. They're not perfect. And I think because I was being let down so much, I was holding a lot of resentment, bitterness, and I think during that session, realizing that like that God is also my heavenly Father, and He also He loves me, and like He holds His promises. He won't let me down perfectly. Yeah. He loves me unconditionally. I think that made me realize that I needed to forgive my dad and not put him to such a high standard. I obviously still respect him and honor him, and I love him, but it was time for me to let go of that and like move forward. So I remember like I was in tears, as you are in church camp, and in the high of it all, I went up to the front and I asked this lady there to pray for me, to forgive my dad. And I wanted to give my life to Jesus, and so she prayed the prayer over me, and I was like, woo, okay, I feel very free. Let's go. And that's just one part of my testimony journey of like forgiving my dad and forgiving my family and our brokenness, because I think what I was starting to do a lot with like following Carla and seeing her faith in my other believers is like comparison of just like, how do they have all these nice things and we don't have all these nice things? I was focusing on the wrong things essentially. And it was like, essentially it's just the heart posture of it. And so I wanted to not have that anymore because I love my family a lot. And now I see that like there's just a lot of brokenness because we live in a broken world, because sin entered the world, and now I know that. And it's just like I don't put them to these other standards. And I realize that, okay, no, I need to have, they need the Lord, they need to know Jesus, and I need to be able to show that in my ways, just how Carla showed that to me. And so I remember that was the first step in getting like accepting Christ, and then getting baptized soon after, essentially in my junior year, which was really, really nice and fun. And then I would say like, okay, that's my testimony, but the Lord just keeps working in you, right? And so absolutely. I feel like the next part of the journey is realizing that for so long though, even though I said that I was a Christian, I still held a lot of anxiety, like a lot of it for many years. And I think because I was just very afraid of just the future and uncertainty, I never really knew like what I wanted in life, what I wanted to do. So it was all very like I was always just a very anxious person. And I think fear was the driving factor in my life for so long. I just had a fear of man and things like, and just fear of the unknown. And it was all just very scary. But in either way, I still clinged to like church, and I clinged to faith because I thought like this still feels very grounding. Something about this still feels right. And so I still want to like pursue this. I still want to stay here. I don't want to just walk away just because I'm afraid or because I don't know. Because this, you just know that this feels different. Like I know that this is right at this point. Like I knew that. I knew who Jesus was. And so I was like, and I want more of that. I don't know how that looks like, but I want more of that. And so so with that I had my faith, got baptized, we came here for school at UT, found a church that really like pushed us and challenged us and like really encouraged us to read our word. And that's kind of when I really started to grow my faith, was in college. And I think the biggest thing I've realized since coming here and like moving out from home and from what I've known and coming here and having to figure out my life and what that looks like, is the second part is that making my faith my own.
Yep.
And I think that just happens when you move away,
It
right?
does.
Like the whole like,
It's a gift. Yeah, it is.
it's a gift. It's
It
a great
pushes
opportunity.
you.
Yeah, like God gives us that opportunity for us to grow closer to Him and to get to know Him on a personal level. Because again, I feel like it was still just very much like looking to other people for that, like figuring out what faith looks like. So yeah, coming here I think was the second part of my journey of just figuring out what my faith looks like on my terms and with me and the Lord, just us. And so I think that's been the biggest thing that's heavy on my mind lately, is just making your faith your own and what that looks like for all of us. Because I mean, it is, we all follow the same God, but it's like He works in us in different ways and He uses us in different ways.
Yeah,
He
we
gives
all
us
have
different
different
gifts.
needs and different gifts.
Yeah, so that's been like the biggest thing that I've been reflecting on since like just thinking about what this, like my testimony so far has been looking like. And I think now moving, like going through college, which was also a very like confusing time and anxiety inducing time, I know that from when I can remember from back then to now, I'm not as anxious anymore. I really learned to surrender just a lot of that stuff to the Lord and being like, Lord, use this. I'm just gonna follow wherever you lead me,
Yeah.
God, and trust that you know better than me. And that has been the biggest thing, is just trusting the Lord that He knows best. Which is hard, but like the more time you spend with Him, the more you realize,
easier it
yeah,
is.
because you see how much He has kept His promises through the Word.
And yeah, you convince yourself that He can do it for you too.
Exactly. It's like
and
if
He
He
does.
did it then,
He does have time after time.
exactly. The Lord doesn't change. He was the same back then as He is now. And so I'm like, if He kept His promises then, like why would He not keep His promises now? And so that's a truth. That's just faith, right? You have to trust and believe that. And so I think through that, anxiety-wise, that has really left a lot of my body. Obviously, I get nervous like any other human does. And I also feel like the idea of fearing man more than God has honestly changed a lot too. I feel like that's become a change I've seen in my life through my walk with the Lord. And now I think I really felt like my faith becoming my own has really been speaking to me a lot this season, because after college we changed churches and moved in. I moved with my two roommates, and now I have like a working job, and we all go to a different church where obviously we go to. And I feel like that's the biggest theme, is to see what my faith looks like outside of my friends, even like outside of Carla, outside of the church, outside of like the leaders that I have. Like, what does my faith look like with God? Just me
Yeah,
and
in
Him.
solitude.
Exactly.
Like it's because at the end of the day, it's your relationship.
It's your relationship, and I feel like that's
And
always
it can
been in
be
the back of my
hard
mind.
Yeah. To remember that.
To
You
remember.
get distracted by like everything else.
Everything that's good, and then you
we're
forget.
all together.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And
but
that's
no,
a
but like
blessing.
it's you.
Yeah,
It is a blessing though.
But
It does
I feel like
a lot.
And I feel like the biggest thing is just that you start to see that one day, like at some point, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when, you will be tested for your faith. Like you will have moments where like you won't have someone else to lean on, to rely on, to figure out like where you stand on with your faith. And you're gonna have to just be able to speak up on your own and say like, this is what I feel, this is what I believe, and I truly believe this to my core. And I feel like, and just because like I've been reading a lot of Old Testament and New Testament, like Genesis, and like I've been reading Acts with Paul and Matthew, and I see how Paul, like a lot of his journey at the end, whenever he gets imprisoned, like he's by himself for like 2 years. He's just by himself. And I'm just like, and he's doing it alone. Essentially, the last part of it is just going at it alone. But he's not really alone because he has the Lord, and he doesn't feel that completely because he knows he's with God,
Yeah.
and like God is with him. And so that really encourages me of like, I really need to be able to stand on my own ground with my faith and know what I share and what I speak about comes from what I know personally with
Your
the
personal
Lord.
relationship.
Yeah, not because of someone told me. And I think that's also just a dangerous thing, is only consuming faith knowledge or wisdom or encouragement from other people always, and not just like
For
from the
yourself.
source. Yeah, for yourself and looking for it. And so I feel like that's the biggest thing that I have been really pondering on, is what that looks like, and trusting the Lord that he has me. But yeah, essentially that's kind of where I've been, and been taking a lot of encouragement from Paul and his journey and figuring out what that looks like. Because I think I was reading Matthew, I think it was Matthew 25, and it's just a bunch of parables about like tell the parable of the 10 bridesmaids, the parable of the loaned money. Jesus tells us about the final judgment. That whole chapter, I read that, and to me, it really felt like it was a quick little, like, a quick little summary of what it means to be a believer. Like, once you put your trust in Jesus, how that should look like. Essentially, like, every person is responsible for his or her own spiritual condition.
Yes.
And so, for me, reading these, specifically these this whole chapter for me, it was really a conviction of just like not essentially making sure that your faith is your own, like with the bridesmaids in the oil.
Where is that one? Which chapter?
Matthew 25.
25.
And
Oh, yes, I see it.
yeah, and it's like
5 of them are foolish, and
Yes.
5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps.
Yep. And then it says like, while they were gone, the bridegroom came, and then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, "Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or the hour of my return." So that one, I was like, okay, so you really gotta just take care of your own spiritual relationship with the Lord, your own walk with the Lord.
Because you might think you're walking through the door, but it closes because it doesn't know you.
Yes, and so I feel like that's really like encouraged me to know the Lord in my own way, and not just like look around for other resources, because I think I tend to do that. Like, I feel like in order to read the word, I need to go and get other resources so I can fully understand and grasp the word. And I'm like, no, this is all you really
have the
need.
source. Like, all of these resources are citing the source.
Exactly.
But we have the source.
Exactly. We have the source. And this, as I feel like I always need just practical ideas of like, okay, what does that look like? Like, okay, I gave my life to Jesus. I know I love him. I know he's Lord. I know my life is surrendered to him. Now, what do I do? And so whenever it's like, here's like, okay, look, I need to be responsible for my own spiritual condition. So I need to make sure that I'm always going to the Lord, to his word, spending time with him, praying to him, just walking alongside him, bringing him into every area of my life. So I know that, okay, it's you are working in this with me, God. It's not just me, it's you. And so that is encouraging. Okay, that's 1. 2, Jesus tells the parable of the loaned money, where he has 3 servants. That's also chapter 25, verses 14.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he gives them each, he's like, again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip, and he called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. And he gave them each different amounts of money. And then he came back, and each servant was like, verse 20, the servant to whom he had entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, "Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more." The master was full of praise. "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together." And then you go to the end where the last servant didn't do anything with the money. And he's like, "Why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest of it." Then he says, "To those who use well what they are given," verse 29, "even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away." And so that's another one, like, "Now throw this useless servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." So essentially, what I took from that was, okay, so there's an importance to see the necessity of using well what God has entrusted you.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the connection, the personal connection you have with the Lord. It's like, now how am I going to use that and the gifts that the Lord has given me, the resources the Lord has given me, the people he has given me or surrounded me with, and make sure that it all points to him and to grow his kingdom, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
that this wisdom isn't being harbored, but
yes.
it's being acted on.
Yeah, it's not just like this, it also needs to be poured out here. So that was a conviction of like, am I using my gifts for the Lord? Am I using it to grow his kingdom? And am I using it to point people towards him?
Yeah.
So that's been like the next thing. And then the third thing was just like, Jesus tells about the final judgment, where he will place the sheep at his right hand and the goats at the left. And the king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me into your home. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you cared for me. I was in prison, and you visited me." And he's like, in verse 49, and he will answer, "I tell you the truth, when you refuse to help those at least of these my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me." So that was the third one for me, of like, okay, so it's important also to just serve others, and that's because that is essentially who Jesus was. He came here to serve us. He came here to die on the cross for us, and to the very end, he was servant hearted. And so I feel like that is the biggest takeaway. And so for me, those were the three main things: to no longer have my faith be based off other people around me, which I think I relied a lot of in the beginning of my faith. I was looking towards, which was good. Like the Lord brought Carla into my life and showed me this is what it could look like to find true joy and peace. And then I was like, okay. And then after that, and it's just like, what? Now that I see it, how do I make that my own? Because the Lord obviously wants to know me personally. And so it's been very encouraging and convicting to see that's where the Lord wants me now, and really doing that, because I think for a part of my life I was relying on other people, my pastors, my church, online sources,
Other avenues of
friends to do that. And again, they're a blessing, and it's nice to have that, but it's not ultimately where the Lord wants us at. He wants to have a personal relationship with us. And I feel like I've just been wanting to share that. And so like being obedient, it's not just about like, oh, I believe in Jesus, but like I also obey Jesus. And I feel like that's the biggest distinguish. And I was like, okay, so how do I obey you, God? Like, how do I obey? And so reading chapter 25 has been like, gave me clear, practical guidelines, because I need that. I can't just be like, okay, this is a really nice verse, but now, which is nice and I love it, but also I need,
how do I do this?
How do I replicate this? God, like, how do I do this? And it's just like, duh, this makes sense. But like to read it like this and to see like this is who Jesus literally was too. Like if you see this, like he was always prepared, like spiritual connection with the Lord. Like he had that personal connection, obviously, with God.
He had it on hand at all times, ready to use.
At all times. Like he obviously multiplied and he used what he had to further God's kingdom. And then he served people no matter what, no matter who they were, he served them. And so I was like, well, that makes sense. But to see it just like this, it's also just really cool, again, to see it's not just like my own realization that, oh, well, Jesus is good and kind. Like obviously he serves other people. It's like, no, but look, if you come to his word, you have it in this written in this manner, and you're like, well, that makes sense. There's no original thought here. It's always from you, God, and it's like giving you the glory and pointing back to you. Obviously, you would have wrote about this clearly. And so, yeah, I think that's been my biggest thing now in my testimony, of figuring out, making my faith my own. And I think like you and I have both, I have realized that in you. When you
have so much to say about you, and I'm waiting for the moment.
No, because
say it, okay?
Because I know that you've told me that recently, really, these past couple of months, you've been really diving into just spending time with the Lord,
it's
one-on-one.
It's been a transformation that I can't believe.
And I can see that transformation, and it's just like, well, you're living proof of what this chapter is literally saying.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that is what I want to see for myself. So I want to see for everybody around me, because I see the fruit of that. I see the sweetness of it. And I see that you're just way more joyful and just way more secure in your relationship with the Lord, and on fire for the Lord and obedient to the Lord. And it's just like, that is essentially the goal.
Yeah, and it comes from finally putting your face in this. Like, take away everything. Like, after you're reading the word, everything else flows from that. And so I think as soon as, at the very beginning of your testimony, as soon as you said that you viewed Carla as someone who was set apart, and you just silently, like secretly, like what behind, like, just watching her, like, in secret,
Yeah.
admired and wanted to know, like,
Yeah.
what that was.
Yeah.
Carla, that is what I saw in you. Like, like, literally, like, I could cry. Like, that, how sweet is it that the Lord used that moment, someone set apart from your perspective, to now make you someone that's set apart in my perspective, and, like, has honestly, like, helped me, encouraged me to, like, want to be in the Word, of just seeing how faithful you have been in the Word, and the fruits that you've that you've, you know, received from that, and displayed from that. And it's just like, it looks so sweet from out here, and you can't help but want to be like, how? And if I just secretly, like, watch you like a little spy, like, you're constantly meditating on the Word, and you know you have scripture on your tongue and on your heart, and that's because you're meditating on it day and night. And that is, like, one of the reasons, like, why I wanted to do what I'm doing now and be in the Word, and it's totally transformed me. And it, as soon as you realize, like, the goodness that you're missing out on when you yourself desire a personal relationship by going to the actual source of the Word, everyone you love, you want that for them.
Yep. It's so freeing.
It's so freeing, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love you so much that I literally just want you to read this. Like, please read it for yourself. Like, I just want this for you. And, like, I don't know, I just thought it was pretty crazy when you were talking about Carla, about her being set apart. And, like, that is you. Like, I admire so much how slow to speak you are. Like, that is something I am immensely horrible at. Like, I will open my mouth, I will yap it up for things that I didn't even, like, realize that might be hurtful, or things that I'm not even, like, thinking about in my heart of what I'm saying. Like, I'm truly, you know, that saying of, like, think before you say, that does not exist in my head. And, like, that's not good. But, like, it's been through seeing how you respond to people, how you listen so greatly, and, like, just watching you has been, like, a constant, like, oh my gosh, like, I want that fruit. Like, that's a fruit that I want. Well, then I'm like, okay, well, then how did she get that fruit? I look back, in your faithfulness is, like, just the perfect painted picture for me. And honestly, like, that's why community is so important. And, like, like, honestly, every episode, time and time again, like, we're coming back to this idea that, like, it is through community that I was able to be in close proximity to someone who is being faithful in their own personal journey. Not something that you were not telling me, right, I've been reading all the time. This is, like, you never told me. But it was me being a witness to your fruits and knowing that that's what it came down to. And, like, that's why community is important, because we get to, like, support each other in that way and be encouragements in that way.
Sharpen one another.
Come here. There was, like, a spider on you, but don't worry, I got it. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want you to freak out, but I literally pinched it and got it. Anyways, but yeah, so it was so sweet when you said that, because I immediately, like, I wanted to say it so bad, but I'm like, I'm gonna let her finish. I'm gonna be slow to speak, just like she's slow to speak, and I'm gonna listen to her. And, like, the idea was, like, continuously on my heart of, like, the way Carla was that for you, like, you have been to me, and it's been so sweet. And I know, like, because we are in a community and there's other women around us, like, I can't help but to imagine the ways that you've also impacted their heart. And so this is just an encouragement to say, keep on pushing, keep on reading, keep on loving, keep on listening, like, be set apart, and do it with your whole might and your whole will and desire. And you yourself, by doing that, are doing the exact calling that the Lord has for us, to make disciples, to love and serve others and put others before you and above you. And you're doing that very well. And I just want to encourage you in that. Like, this, like, it was so sweet just hearing you. And, like, Carla is immensely lucky.
I'm immensely lucky.
I can literally cry. Your friend Carla is immensely lucky, and you are also immensely lucky. And I think that you guys had such a beautiful upbringing and close connection to each other. And now just being able to be a witness to the ways that you guys have, like, built that foundation on the Lord together, and now it's spewing through the way that you love people. And just being a witness to y'all's friendship is just so sweet. And the way that you guys sharpen each other, and it's just so admirable, and it really has been so encouraging me to be just around you, you know, just being around you. And
Maybe cry.
yeah, so I think that at the end of all of this, like, this is just to say, like, when you come to the word, all other things flow from that. Like,
Yeah.
come to the living word, open your Bible, create a relationship that is personalized, that is fed by your own desires and your own efforts, and having to diminish distractions and
Yeah.
get away from anything else that's in your
Yeah.
life, but doing it for your own.
Yep.
And so many things come out of it, and maybe when you don't even realize, you're touching other people too.
I love you.
But yes,
You're the best. Oh my
love you
God.
so
I'm so glad
much.
the Lord brought you into my life.
It's been crazy, honestly, and it's been exactly what I needed. Like,
I mean,
just,
you've also encouraged me so much.
I don't know how, but
you're so bold.
that's what happens.
You're
you
so
know?
bold, and I always like want to be like second guessing, like I don't know. But from the get go of knowing you, you've always been bold, and I can see now that like how the Lord is using that now in your faith. Because you were bold before. I know you don't think so, but since I've known you, I've always thought like she's very bold. She's not afraid. Like anxiety is afraid of her, honestly. And that's what the impression you gave me. So now the fact that like you're with growing closer to the Lord, you're using that boldness to bring him more glory. I'm like doing this.
Your desires start to become
yes.
his. Like, it's
You're like you're using what he gave you to
Yeah.
further his kingdom. And I'm like, isn't that crazy to see? Because you already had these gifts. Like the Lord obviously made you this way from the very beginning. And so now that to use this to point to him, it's a whole different kind of joy and feeling that
It
you
is
have.
really. It's been so special.
I absolutely love you.
I thank you so much for just sharing your story. And honestly, a big part of your story that I just love so much and is so tender in my heart is that as your story of coming from Mexico, and just I'm currently a teacher, and I teach a lot of students that are in that same situation. Don't know English, and it's a lot.
Scary.
It's really scary.
It's a big change.
It's hard, and it just makes me so much tender. I just have so much tender love for that part of your story, and I hope that someone feels encouragement from that, or can even relate to you in that way. And it's really, really special. But yes, I hope. Well, first of all, I was deeply encouraged by hearing what you had to say, and the ways that the Lord has been faithful in your life, and the way that the Lord has just been refining your heart actively through the Word and through your obedience, and the way that it's been able to serve me and other people.
Girl, if you would have met me in high school,
I can't believe it. Like,
if you
I don't
would've
even
been
believe
in high
that.
school, you would not.
Really?
I was a whole different person.
Well,
The Lord
that's
really
that's
has,
crazy.
I truly now recognize the opportunities. Or I now like actively try to see how the Lord is like working in my life, and I think that's so important for us to do.
That's why this is important.
This is important, and this is exactly doing that exact thing. I just feel like I've been really thinking about how the Lord is using every moment, every opportunity, whether it's good or bad, high or low. If it's a long wait, if it's a short wait, like all for his glory. And reading, just like jumping from Old Testament and New Testament, I really see that more of just like the Lord is always working. The Lord has been here this whole time. Like trust in that fully. Trust that he's working no matter what. See the opportunities, even in the bad times. See how he's working in you. And I feel like that is the last thing I could honestly say, just to encourage people, because your journey is your journey. I'm reading from 3 different people's perspective. Like I'm jumping from like Isaac to Esther to Paul, and it's just like they're all in different timelines, political environments, situations, and they
family traumas, family backgrounds,
literally
everything.
But the Lord is working in all of them and is going to use every story for his glory. And so again, don't compare your own journey, and make it your own. Make your faith your own, so you have your own journey. So people, like you said, can be inspired and like be curious about, and therefore want to get to know Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's
well, it's worked. It's been great. I hope that the people watching I just hope that you guys were deeply encouraged and reminded of how powerful the stories that we have in our lives and the testimonies that we have in our lives are just so powerful. I mean, for people around you, like it was to me.
Yeah.
And so it was really sweet hearing your story. I can't believe we finished filming. This is episode 5.
I love that. My favorite number is 5.
Oh,
so
well,
the fact that happened, I was like,
this is episode 5. I can't believe it. It's been a sweet, sweet process. Yeah, it's just been so, so sweet. But thank you so, so much for being you and being faithful. And your faithfulness is a blessing to me. Keep on pushing. Keep on pressing on.
We got this.
We're in a sermon series right now at our church, at Austin Stone, that's called Press On. And like, girl, press on.
Press on.
You're doing
Great. You too.
You have the stamp of